Arnold Schwarzenegger has never been afraid to crack a joke, but when he stood on stage at Chris Wallace's Walk of Fame ceremony and told the crowd his ex-wife Maria Shriver took half my money, jaws dropped.
The only difference between Chris and Maria is that Chris never has taken half of my money.
For some, it was classic Arnold humor. For others, it reopened one of Hollywood's most infamous scandals. How did one of Tinseltown's most powerful couples go from picture perfect to a family torn apart by betrayal? Let's unravel the story. Back in 1986, Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't just the Terminator, he was one of the biggest stars in the world. And Maria Shriver wasn't just any journalist. She was Kennedy royalty, the niece of President John F. Kennedy, and part of one of the most famous families in American history. When the two married, it felt like the ultimate power move, Hollywood's strongest man joining forces with America's most iconic dynasty. Their wedding was a star-studded event, and for years they looked like the perfect family, balancing fame, politics, and legacy. But behind the glamour, life was far more complicated. Transition. And soon, that flawless image would start to crack. Throughout the 90s and 2000s, Arnold's career soared. He dominated the box office with blockbuster after blockbuster and even made the leap into politics, becoming the governor of California. Meanwhile, Maria thrived in journalism, building her own reputation outside of her famous family name. To the public, they seemed unstoppable. But insiders whispered that Arnold's ambition often overshadowed their marriage. Rumors about his behavior swirled for years, though nothing concrete ever stuck. At least, not yet. Transition. But all of that would come crashing down when one secret changed everything. In 2011, the world learned that Arnold had fathered a child with the family's housekeeper, Mildred Baena. The affair had taken place years earlier, and the boy, Joseph, was already a teenager by the time the truth surfaced. The revelation hit like a bombshell. Overnight, Arnold went from action hero and governor to a man exposed in one of Hollywood's most humiliating scandals. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was public, messy, and deeply painful for Maria, who had dedicated 25 years to the marriage. Transition. And Maria later revealed just how devastating that moment truly was. Years later, in her memoir, I Am Maria, Shriver opened up about the heartbreak. She explained that she discovered Arnold's secret at one of the darkest times of her life, right after losing both her parents. I was consumed with grief and racked with confusion, anger, fear, sadness, and anxiety, she wrote. Honestly, it was brutal, and I was terrified. Sitting alone in a hotel room, she admitted she wondered if her entire identity had been shattered. But in those same pages, Maria revealed something powerful, that she came to realize she didn't need to define her worth through marriage or a partner. It was a painful awakening, but one that shaped the next chapter of her life. Transition. Still, healing was far from simple, and the divorce that followed became one of Hollywood's most drawn-out separations. Maria filed for divorce in 2011, but it wasn't finalized until 2021, a full decade later. Part of the reason was money. Arnold was worth hundreds of millions, and Maria walked away with what was widely reported as half. Arnold himself later joked about it, but the financial split was just the surface. The real cost was emotional. Years of uncertainty, public scrutiny, and complicated family dynamics dragged the process into one of the longest celebrity divorces in recent history. Transition. And the fallout wasn't limited to Arnold and Maria. It deeply affected their children too. Arnold and Maria share 4 children, Catherine, Christina, Patrick, and Christopher. But Joseph Baena, the son from Arnold's affair, was suddenly part of the family picture too. Over the years, the divide became clear. When Patrick married model Abby Champion in 2025, reports claimed Joseph wasn't invited. At events, paparazzi photos showed the kids posing in separate groups. Maria's children on one side, Joseph on the other. Sources close to the family have said Joseph is a good kid, and Arnold has always treated him fairly. But the rift with his half-siblings hasn't healed, and that quiet tension still lingers every time the family appears in public. Transition. But Joseph hasn't stayed silent. He's spoken openly about his unique position in the Schwarzenegger family. In interviews, Joseph has explained why he chose to keep his mom's last name. I'm trying to do things on my own, he said. He didn't want to rely on the Schwarzenegger name. Even though the connection is obvious, he's worked to carve his own path, pursuing bodybuilding and acting, much like his father. Joseph insists he has a good relationship with Arnold, but he admits the rest of the family keeps their distance. Transition. Meanwhile, the next generation of Schwarzeneggers is stepping into their own spotlight in very different ways. Patrick Schwarzenegger has built a steady acting career, landing a role in Season 3 of The White Lotus. Joseph starred in the 2024 action thriller Gunner alongside Morgan Freeman and Luke Hemsworth. Christopher, once known for struggling with weight, shocked fans with a dramatic transformation in 2025. And Catherine, married to actor Chris Pratt, has built a career as an author while balancing her role as a mom. Each sibling is carving out a unique path, but the family's complicated dynamics often overshadow their success. Transition, which brings us back to Arnold's joke, a single comment that stirred up all of these memories. When Arnold quipped that Chris Wallace never took half his money, many in the audience laughed, but for others, it was a reminder of the betrayal that rocked his family. Some fans saw it as Arnold being Arnold, brash, unapologetic, and funny. Others thought it was a tone-deaf jab at Maria, reopening old wounds that never fully healed. Either way, the remark proved one thing: Arnold's divorce remains one of the most unforgettable chapters in his life story. Transition. Which raises the bigger question, what does all of this really mean for his legacy? Today, Arnold Schwarzenegger remains a global icon. He's still acting, still working, still making people laugh. But no matter how many movies he makes, his divorce from Maria Shriver will always shadow his public life. Maria, on the other hand, has rebuilt herself with strength and grace, sharing her journey of healing with the world. Their children are forging their own careers, even as family rifts continue to make headlines. So when Arnold cracks a joke about losing half his money, maybe it's just his way of handling regret with humor. Or maybe it's a sign that the wounds of this high-profile breakup never truly healed. Either way, the story of Arnold and Maria isn't just about love or betrayal. It's about legacy, family, and what it really costs to live in the spotlight.